Thanks, Quinn, and we'll get started. So we're already in open, so my first duty is to thank everybody that showed up today. We got some attendees, so we'll move on with the meeting. Moved by Councillor Dirksen, second by Councillor Anderson. The minutes of the Town of Minto, August 17, 2021, regular council, and July 13, 2021, closed session meeting be approved. Anybody opposed? Seeing none, carried. Additional items for other business. Has anybody got anything? Deputy Mayor Turton. Okay. I'll just follow up on that a little later. Okay. Moved by Councillor Anderson, second by Councillor McKenzie. The Town of Minto Council convenes in the committee of the whole. Anybody opposed? Carried. Good. No public meeting, but we have a delegation, and it's great to see Helen there. Hi, Helen. How are you? It'd be nice if we could see you in person, but Zoom is good too.
It's very nice to be here. Thank you so much.
And I know you have a great presentation. And do you have anybody else with you? Oh, I see a few other people. You want to introduce them all to you if you would like, and I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, so we have with us Glenys Black, I believe. I just saw her name. Oh yes, there she is over there. And then we also have some representatives from the town of Minto who are participants in our program. So we have Willa Wick, who I think we can only see your forehead, Willa. It's a beautiful smile. And Brenda Flynn and Linda Thompson. Is Linda here yet? I don't see her. No, she's not here yet, but we expect her to be
joining
us.
Linda Campbell.
Linda Campbell. Sorry, Linda Campbell.
Yes,
yes. We
by the ocean.
Yes, by the ocean. Lucky lady. So did you want us to start by going first? I didn't see the agenda, so I'm not sure. Like, are we the first
yes,
on the agenda?
Yes, you are, Helen. And I think we have your slides, but are you host? Can you put your slides up, Annalene, or is that what's happening? Or
well, what we decided was we didn't read the small print, or I didn't read the small print, and I went ahead and made a presentation, but it's much longer than 10 minutes. And so we were talking this afternoon, and we thought hopefully everyone has had an opportunity to see the slides, and if they have questions about the slides that they could ask us. But mostly we just wanted to speak to you about the programming that we have going at the moment and how we would like to see it continue. And I'll speak for a little bit, and then I don't know how many of you know Glenys Black, but she lives in Drayton, and she's what we call our ACE coordinator, which is active, coordinated, active, connected and engaged. Coordinated is good too, though.
I like that too. Some days.
And yeah, we've been working with some new virtual programming. Glenys pulled us kicking and screaming into the 21st century. So we now have a Facebook page, and we have been doing Zoom with a lot of seniors. And we just wanted to speak about the program and the fact that Glenys's position was part of a New Horizons grant, which it could not have come at a better time because we were able to start some different activities virtually. But as I know you guys are all aware that these New Horizon funds are fantastic, but they are time limited. And we are starting to come to the end of that money, but we are not coming to the end of the desire of seniors to participate in the virtual programs. So when we held our town hall, 85% of the people in attendance said that they hoped that virtual programming would continue in some form at least over the next year. And we know that several people indicated that they are still not comfortable attending in-person events. And we just wanted to come to council to share a little bit about what people have experienced participating in Zoom and the telephone. We also have a party line program, and ask that you consider financially supporting the program in the amount of $10,000. So I put that on my first slide because I thought, gosh, these guys are going to want to know what we want.
Right.
and that is what we're requesting. So what I thought would be good is if I could just sort of talk a little bit about how the program, what we started with and the types of things that we do. And then Glynis can maybe talk about the things that she's noticed, and how she's helped people get connected and so forth. And then we have some people, I always know that really you guys don't really want to hear from me, and you don't want to really hear from Glynis so much as the people from the town of Minto who are enjoying the programs. And I would have to say that over the years, if I want something to be successful, then I would always host it somewhere in the town of Minto, in particular Palmerston, because we had such a huge walking group there. And so over the years, I think we've provided lots and lots of different programs to the seniors in Minto. And there's no difference in the Zoom programming. We have a lot of people who are participating from the community. We have a core group of people, and then we have people that pop in and out when the information is of interest to them. And because of that, we have many different topics. It can be everything from hairstyles. I don't know if Mayor Bridge is familiar with the hairstyles presentation that we did, but we had a picture of all of the mayors in all their glory.
You got mine all right there, Helen.
I got it perfect, and it was part of the presentation. We've had some celebrities. We had Dave Phillips from Environment Canada came and spoke about climate change. We have health professionals. We have a cooking class every month with Allison from the Mount Forest Family Health Team, where we have healthy recipes. We have our own celebrities, the Minto and North Wellington celebrities. The largest turnout, Glynis, correct me if I'm wrong, I still believe that it's Floyd Sheik in Drayton that had the record for the most people tuned in.
Yes, I think you're right. Between him and our 99-year-old guest from Nova Scotia who lived in Mapleton Township. So between the two of them, that was quite the attendance. And then our British tea, don't forget, we had really good attendance for that too.
Yeah. So we've had a lot of fun, and we've also brought a lot of important information forward, and we just would like it to continue. I also plan to go to Wellington North Council and ask them to match that donation so that we can keep the position going. When we started the senior center, I think you guys, some of you guys, I think most of you guys were around when it started. Our budget starting in 2009 was $179,300. Our budget now is $182,286. So we cannot absorb Glynis's position within our current budget allotment. So that's just, we just can't make that happen, and we do need to keep her. So Glynis, I don't know if you'd like to say a few things.
Well, you told me that they weren't really interested in what I might have to say, but I'll do my best here. So anyway, so I just want to thank everybody. First of all, Councillor Elliott, I don't know if I was just eavesdropping, but thank goodness that the cat came back. So that was really good news. We always like to hear those good news stories. So first of all, yes, it's really good that you are taking the time to have us here, and that you are deeming you know, our what we're doing as worthy of listening to and considering, because sometimes the voice of the older population, or even those that are representing the older population, are sometimes not a priority for people. So we're really thrilled that you are listening to us today. Helen, as you can tell, she's enthusiastic and it's contagious, and I just love working for Helen, and I've so appreciated how she trusted me to be part of the Zoom and the party line programming and the social media and the newsletter development. and all different kinds of things that we're doing. She keeps me busy, that's for sure. And I love it though. It's been a great experience for me. And I won't talk for long, much to the surprise of probably our guests here, are the ones that know me, because I do love to chat. But we are here because you need to hear from some pretty special friends. And I call these people friends because that's what they have become over the past year, and I guess almost year and a half now, year and 4 months. And these three ladies who you're going to hear from this evening are, as Helen mentioned, they're part of our core group. And we have a core group. We actually have 103, I think it is, people on our Zoom list. And we can have, depending on, what our topic is and the time of day and appointments and the weather and things like that, we can have anywhere from 12 to 65 people on. And then we do recordings too, if people can't make it and they still want to attend, so to speak. We don't do that publicly, but the participants can request a recording. So that's important to a lot of people. And we always have people that want the recording. So we are a community. We've become this community, and I think it's really special. And I also have to selfishly say that I get a lot out of this too, because sometimes it's a lot of work to do this, but by the end of our sessions, it's like, oh, that was so good. And, or somebody will have a conversation with me about something we learned. And I really, really appreciate that. And it is hard to believe that it's a year and somewhat that has passed since I first started. And we've been so busy at the Senior Center for Excellence. But what is really rewarding is to hear people like you're going to hear this evening and what they've got out of our Zoom sessions and our party lines. It's actually a teleconferencing session, but it's reminiscent of the party lines. I don't know if you're familiar with how that works, but it's lots of fun. And we do have, we don't have a huge response to that, but those are the people that really need it too, because they don't have access to a computer, or they don't understand how the Zoom works. So they're content. Some do both. So it's really exciting to hear that. And I am like Helen says, I'm the Zoom guru, but I've been learning too, because I knew a little bit, but I didn't know a lot. But it's amazing what I've learned over the year too. So if people want to get on Zoom, like I do one-on-one tutorials with people, so I'm quite happy to continue that, and it's worked out nicely. So as I said, I won't speak long. I am going to turn it back over to Helen, and whatever you would like to do, Helen, go ahead. So thank you for listening to me, everybody.
I'm just smiling because I asked Quinn, what happens if we go over our 10 minutes? Does the music start playing to give that the awards and a curtain goes across? And she assured me that that's not the case.
If the mayor goes like this, but he won't.
Oh.
So
Okay, so first I'm going to ask Linda Campbell if she wouldn't mind sharing something. And Linda Campbell lives in Harriston.
Hi, Linda.
Hi, thank you, Helen. Well, as most of you know, I have not been kept home by COVID-19. Many of those who join in on the Senior Center for Excellence Zoom sessions have been. The sessions must make them feel less lonely. We have been introduced to folks from many walks of life. Zoom has given these people and businesses, these people's business and talents exposure to our community. We have done armchair travels to places we would otherwise not experience. Glennis's cheerful personality makes us feel comfortable. No need to worry about going on Zoom. As she has just said, she will do tutorial to get us through, and I can attest for that. I have met many new friends whom I hope to meet in person one day soon. Until then, happy Zooming.
Okay, and Willa, if you wouldn't mind speaking.
Well, a lot of us attended the exercise classes at the Presbyterian Church in Harriston, and as well the dining programs that were held. And we didn't just go to Harriston, we'd go to Palmerston and Drayton and Arthur, and we just loved them. When COVID stopped everything, it was like, uh-oh, now what? And we were introduced to Zoom. What was Zoom? How did this work? Seniors and technology don't mesh. But with Glennis and Helen's help, next thing we knew, we were on Zoom. It was easy. We were helping other people. I did presentations on Zoom. And eventually I was conducting meetings, assisting with the Horticultural Society, doing the Women's Institute, and helping with the Historical Society. So it's been a real learning curve. It's been excellent. I've been trying to convince seniors it's easy. And I've taught several seniors. One in particular had no camera on the computer and the audio didn't work. So what we did, he could see us. So I called him by the phone, set the phone beside the computer, and he was able to listen in. So it's as simple as that. All those seniors join into those Zoom programs, and they're really fascinating. And as Linda said, we've met a lot of people online now to meet them in person. Thanks.
Thanks, Willa.
Okay, and now we have Brenda. And Brenda, how long have you lived in the town of Minto?
Since November 2020.
Okay, all righty. So I'll give you the floor.
My story is a little bit different. I wrote it down so I can keep on track. And Glennis and Helen didn't really know all the true issues of maybe why I started to attend, but I'll read slow and try to speak clearly. Before I moved to Clifford, I was living in Walkerton, and I was experiencing a lot of isolation and aloneness, which developed into substance abuse. My counselor suggested at the end of the term that I needed a format where I could connect to others, and asked me what that would look like. I said, what I did not want was a negative environment. She suggested a program like Beaver Valley Seniors Outreach, as she was a counselor up in Owen Sound. So I did attend there for a couple of months. After moving to Clifford, I discovered Mapleton Senior Center for Excellence by someone sharing their newsletter with me. I started with the party line, which involved sharing my memories. A topic was provided, topic like what you did on your vacation, stories about pets that you had, maybe a favorite, whether you preferred books or movies. I was assured that there was no pressure. I found the environment respectful, positive, inclusive, and each person was important. The Zoom schedules, I looked it over and they really seemed interesting. My brother-in-law helped me to purchase a computer. Then I was connected to the internet. I gave Mapleton my email, and I started on May the 4th, 2021. I just need courage. I show up to every session because it is an opportunity to learn about my community, to feel connected to people through interaction, to learn about other people's lives, and I am grateful. I am becoming a healthier and happier woman and enjoy my laughter. Thank you.
Thanks, Helen. Those testimonials, I'll turn it over to some of the counselors in a minute, but I just want to say your program has always been exciting. I mean, we love getting your newsletters. I think Councilor Anderson and many of us always bring them up and talk about them afterwards because
Nice.
your programming is so full, And I know people that go to the programming, and the fact that you had to adapt because of COVID to this Zoom, I give you so much credit for. I know we tried to reach out to most of our groups, because what we don't want to happen is we lose our groups during this pandemic, because that was our biggest scare, that we lose our social groups, so that they weren't able to meet. And I know, Willa, you guys and Jean, and you worked out with the Horticulture Society, and there's other groups that you've worked with, I know, with the historical and whatever, and we've done other things with other groups. So I'm really pleased that you were able to do this, and we're not out of this yet. And I think, unfortunately, you're right on that people aren't going to be just all of a sudden, if you can throw your masks away tomorrow and everything was perfect. It's still going to take us time. I really think this program needs to move forward. I would certainly, I'll open it up to the council, and I'll also talk to our CEO is going to speak to this as well. But the amount of effort and the good things that you've done with the program by making it virtual and keeping it going, it just, we can't thank you enough, because our seniors, it's not, and Brenda, your comments, this worries me totally, because this is what's happening in our society today, when we can't get out and meet people and have that. And if you're in that situation, or isolated, it's easy to give up hope. And I'm glad you found the group, and that you were able to do what you've done with it. And thank you for bringing that story to us. That's just amazing. Anyways, I'll open it up for any comments, and then I want to have Derek talk a bit about the funding. Councillor McKenzie.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks, Helen, for the presentation, and we certainly appreciate the work that you do. Mr. Mayor, wouldn't this group qualify to apply for county funding under their grant program?
It's a possibility, Councillor McKenzie, in which I can look into, but I think we'll wait for the funding. We'll talk about that with Derek. But yeah, there might be some opportunity at the county level. You're right. Yeah. I don't know if you've done that, Helen, but
I think we applied before for some funding for our In Motion committee,
right.
But it wasn't, unless I'm confused over what I would be applying for, it wasn't that much money.
No.
And there was a lot of criteria that you had to, like a lot of hoops to jump through for how much money. And we did apply, but we weren't successful as the In Motion committee.
If it was just on the smaller one, it doesn't have a, so I agree. Councillor Elliott, and then I think Councillor Dirksen and then Councillor Anderson. Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for delegating today. It was really good. I've been involved with you guys over the years. We booked the CNR Lions Den for your group. And then when it went away, I thought, oh my God, what are these people going to do? Where are they going to go? Even at the arena, I'd go in there and everybody's walking. I thought, what's happening? I'm so glad to hear that the Zoom has caught on and everybody seems to be moving forward with it. And, even those that can't get on Zoom, you're helping them out by using a telephone or whatever you can do. Glad to hear that. We're close to getting back where you can get back into the Lions Den again, and we would have a spot available for you if you need it.
Thank you. That's wonderful.
Councillor Dirksen and then Councillor Anderson. I believe I had that right. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I just want to add my congratulations, Helen, to you and your team, and of course those who came on tonight to tell us some of their story. I think that's great. You've just done a great job of pivoting to change things. You know, we all got hit with something that we just weren't sure what to do with, but you've done very well. And one of the groups that we certainly talked about as a council with a lot of concern was the seniors. But your newsletter that comes out every month, that we have often said how great it was, certainly put our mind at ease that things were still happening and that you were doing such a great job of it. So just want to congratulate you on that. I don't know whether I can ask this now or not. I guess I'll spit it out and see what happens. I noticed in your presentation that you were also going to ask Wellington North Council. I assume that Mapleton also makes a donation to the cause.
So Mapleton does all our back office, all the work for us our back office work, and has for the last 10 years. What Mapleton is doing this year is that, unfortunately, Carmela, who works with me, lucky for her, she's retiring. Really unlucky for me because, well, we call ourselves the terrific trio, not just because no one else will. And and so I will miss her terribly. But because of the way our budget has been, I have been unable to offer that position benefits. And so Mapleton is going to be picking up the benefit cost of that position, because I just can't bring someone, I can't retain anyone at the wage level that I'm able to offer without a benefit package, and the benefits are just so expensive. So Mapleton is doing the back office work for us, plus they will be paying for the benefits so that we can get someone suitable for a replacement for Carmela. Yeah, so that's where we're at with Mapleton's support. So I think it works out, and honestly, Mapleton has been so great to us, and really, they're the youngest community with the smallest amount of seniors. So I'm so glad that they've thought us worthy of all the work that we cause, because with all the health reporting and everything. I know when Patty Cinnamon first saw the reports we had to fill out, she was amazed at the information required for healthcare agencies. So we do cause them a bit of work.
Okay, thank you. I didn't understand that they had done all that in kind, and they were conspicuously absent from the request list there. So thank you.
Yeah, yes, no worries.
Sorry about that, everybody. I kind of lost my internet for a second, so that's the only problem with this. But good comments, and I think Councillor Anderson was next.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So Helen, you know that I'm a terrific fan of what you guys do down there. Those newsletters are marvelous. I also had the same question that Councillor Dirksen had about Mapleton, and like if we come forward and Wellington North comes forward, that still isn't going to fund this position. So I don't know where you go or whether we can assist with that in any way, shape, or form. I have a huge concern about the seniors in our community during this COVID, as you know, as you're aware, and concerned about seniors in many, many ways. My healthcare background, of course, leads to that, and the people that we're seeing coming to emerge and so forth and so on. So I'm just wondering if there's an opportunity or something that we could help with, or David and I with our community dinner, about getting computers to maybe seniors who don't have them currently. And would that be something we could look at? I'll bet you everybody in the world has 2 or 3 older computers lying around, or laptops or iPads. I wonder if something like that is a feasible opportunity. And lastly, just so I don't hog the whole thing, is the help with Zoom, because if I didn't have Will to help me with my horticultural Zoom, there wouldn't be any meetings, because I'm off somewhere in Zoom land, and it sends invitations on the wrong day, even though she and I both checked and say, yeah, it all looks good. I send it out, comes up with a different date. Perfect. That's great. We're all coming on the wrong day. So any Zoom help we can get is welcome, but it's marvelous to see the programs you put forward for people, but it's still just share that concern. And I was glad to see the party lines. I remember party lines. My dad got a unique number because he was a physician, but everybody else had a party line. It's just those people that we're still not getting to. And the isolation has to be just simply dreadful for them. And is there anything we can do to help reach out further to those people? So I'll just put that in your thinking cap, and we can talk about that later.
Sure, because we have, like I have been talking, the United Way has been doing some work around that idea as well. So I can just sort of bring you up to date with some of the ideas that they've had in terms of approaching the county around the county housing sites to have Wi-Fi, because it's not just the device itself, it's also being able to afford so it's like like a double-edged sword, right?
Well, and having reliable Wi-Fi, because it is a challenge in the rural areas.
Yeah, but definitely I would love to discuss that with you
Yeah,
further.
anything we can do to connect these folks so that they have something to look forward to and somebody to talk to.
Right. Okay.
Thanks on that. And does anybody else want to speak before I turn it over to Derek? Deputy Mayor Turton, I asked, I didn't see you. Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, no problem, Mayor Bridge. I mean, I can't help but talk very positive about this as well. I mean, a huge part of our town is seniors, and a huge part of you guys are volunteers. And I mean, volunteers in our community is our strength. And I mean, we can't help but support you. So good luck, and let's keep it going.
Okay. And I
Okay.
did just want to say that I really appreciate all the compliments that I have received, but honestly, one of my seems to be one of my greatest skills is picking people to work with me that are really just as passionate about seniors as I am. And I mean, we're all getting older and we're all heading in that direction. And I think I've been very fortunate to be in the rural areas, and actually the people that I've met, the seniors themselves, it's just humbling to spend time with them, and they're all so interesting. And just like the people that came on today, they're amazing people, and they're contributing so much to the community, like you say. So we just need to make sure that, as Glennis said, that they're remembered when it comes to, because I think we have a lot of youth focus and other focuses, and we just need to make sure that we don't forget about our seniors.
Right. And I'm going to turn over to Derek now, because I think he's got in the same mindset as I have on something. I'm thinking that, I'm just guessing. Put my Helen, I surround myself with very competent people so that I don't look so bad myself. So
Exactly.
Council and Derek. So therefore, I'm turning over to Derek now.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you to Helen and Council. So, Council, if I bring back your attention, I guess it was in June, we passed the COVID relief funding report, where we actually set aside a fund of money available for our community groups. And I can't really think of a better place that if council so wished to want to fund this request, it would come out of that fund. So that's one thing I was thinking. And then Glennis, I was also thinking, as you were talking about your Zoom calls, that if you have a celebrity from Coronation Street show up, I'd like to be part of that call.
You're on the top of the list. Now there's a good idea. I didn't think about it.
Add me that, Glennis. I watch Coronation every day.
Oh, wow.
And watched it since my mother started making me watch it when I was a kid.
So do you remember Ina Sharples?
I certainly do.
Yeah.
That's when my mom used to make me watch it.
Yes, I remember that. So
And she passed away in the Rovers on New Year's Eve.
You remember that? Oh, you remember her
do
curlers and her, oh my goodness, we are
Anyway.
aging ourselves, you know that.
I know.
So Derek, thanks for that, because that's exactly what I was thinking. I believe, Helen, that we'll be able to do this for you. We heard the council. I don't think there's a problem. I think, Derek, can we work with Helen on that? And
yeah, absolutely. It would be good, council, if I could get a resolution from you.
yes, if
to give me
possible.
direction.
So
I'll make a motion.
Councillor Anderson and Councillor Dirksen, all in favor? Anybody opposed? Sorry. Carried. So there you go. And what was the ask, Helen? 10,000?
It was $1 million.
Yeah, now it's $1 million. Yeah. We don't quite have $1 million. Now, we'd have to go to the county for that.
Helen, I like working here.
10,000, please.
No, we want to make sure. I think this program's got to keep going. And we're not going to be out of this for another 6 or 7 months, to where we can, hopefully we can start little steps and do some of the little things and do it safely. But at the end of the day, if we can continue to provide a service, then that's, I think, exactly why we set that money aside. And I have to say, it's money that was given to us by the province and by the federal government to make sure that we keep people whole. So I don't want to take all the credit for the fact that it's there. It's money that you as taxpayers gave into the federal and provincial governments, and they felt the need to give us some too, because we're on the ground working with the groups. So I got to give everybody a lot of credit for that, for forward thinking, and it's given this council an opportunity to keep things going. So that's where I am at. So I guess we've got that. And we'll turn it over, and you and Derek can work out the details. And
Okay,
keep up the
thank
good
you
work.
so much. And I think we're at about 9.5 minutes now, so we'll
Yeah.
have to wrap up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Okay, next up we have moved by Councillor Elliott, second by Deputy Mayor Turton. The council receives the correspondence as information. Does anybody want to pull anything from the correspondence? Hearing none. All in favor? Anybody opposed? I mean, okay, good. Are you there? Okay, I'm turning it over to Councillor Elliott. Go ahead. Ron.
Unmute myself. Scary for everybody. I think, is Matt here somewhere? Doesn't appear. Oh, there he is. How are you doing, Matt? If you would
Good.
like,
How are you tonight?
you would like to take over and give a prac report if you could.
Yeah, I'd love to. Thank you, Councillor Elliott. So we met under the pavilion at the Harrison Arena last week. Some of the highlights from our meeting include the Norgan Theatre reopening for the past 2 weekends. Things have run well as our patrons and volunteers ease back into things. This comes after a successful outdoor movie showing at the Palmerston Arena in partnership with the Palmerston Ag Society and the Blessings to You Center. That was on July 23rd. Moving on, we're still hosting vaccination clinics at the Palmerston Arena, and the next one is tomorrow. And then starting in September, the Harrison train station will be the site of both the assessment or testing center as well as a vaccination center. So it'll serve a dual purpose there after the long weekend. At some point this fall, I'd like to bring back a report to you on the summer that was for programming. We've been quite busy with day camps, pool programming, the hometown ball program we ran, grassroots soccer, pickleball, shuffleboard, things like that. We had a very busy summer. Last item on the agenda was ice season plans for this fall. So as of now, what we see in step 3 is a lot like orange last year when the color system was used. So that means that games can be played and leagues are permitted. We're looking to start in Palmerston the week of September 13th, which has been our traditional start date, and look to install a second sheet and a third sheet based on local user group demand at a later date. We had some local summer and winter groups and leagues not run at all in 2020, but we did see an increase in ball diamond usage this summer, and the same is anticipated for some of the groups that didn't run at all last ice season that they'll look to resume this year. And I plan to bring a report to you next month with more information. That's what I got.
Just a quick question, Matt. Did you hit on tournaments? Did we have any tournaments of any kind during that COVID season?
Last year?
Yeah.
No. We had games in orange, and then when we went red, only practices were permitted.
Okay, I'll make a motion, or I'll read a motion, and then we can ask questions after that. I have moved by Councillor McKenzie, seconded by Councillor Anderson. The council received the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee meetings of August 18th, 2021 for information, and approves any recommendation contained therein. And anybody's got any questions or any comments? Yes, Mayor.
Just a comment, Councillor, and just nice to see the ball diamonds being used and the ball happening. It was great. I was able to go out. My granddaughter's 6, and she never got to play t-ball because last year there wasn't anything, and so she's out in 3-pitch now. So I had their first game the other night, sort of Harrison Palmerston, but I think they mixed the teams up actually. So I think there were a little bit of each, and it was amazing to see. And I give all the coaches and the parents a lot of credit for getting everybody out there, but the kids really enjoyed it. It was like, and you know what's so funny, because we could have passed a hat and made some money, Matt, because there were so many grandparents out there and fans and socially distanced and masks on in some cases, but certainly it was nice to see that and to get out and see the ball being played and the kids learning the game, and hopefully we can keep that going through the winter and work with the ice as well. You didn't mention the Broom Ball? Are they thinking, Matt, to go Broom Ball yet or not?
From what we're hearing, both junior Broom Ball and then the Wednesday and Sunday leagues, they're planning to resume this.
That's great.
This ice season. So
They were the ones that never did anything last year, I do believe, right?
they didn't. So in their absence, we were able to work with some of their volunteers and put together a grassroots program in Palmerston to cover some of the loss in ice time.
Nice, good. That's
Yeah.
great. Thanks.
Yeah, also I noticed that the men's and ladies slow pitch league was going too, and it's really good for them to be able to get out and enjoy themselves. It must have been tough for, I mean, most of them are between 20 and 40 years old and pretty anxious to get out and enjoy themselves. So I umpire some of those games and they're having a really good time. And I think both leagues are maybe thinking about having a tournament at the end of the year, but that's not confirmed yet. It'll all depend on COVID. So I don't think the ladies are going to run, but the men might. So that's what I heard anyway. And it's really good for our staff, Matt, and your staff for being able to organize that so it'd be safe for them to play and get out and enjoy themselves, because it's really important. It gives them motivation to carry on. Thanks. So all in favor of that motion? All those against, that's the best way, right? And seeing none, it's carried. And I'll return the chair back to you, Mayor Bridge.
Thanks, Ron. And just in case you lose me on my internet, it's very unstable, Gene. I don't know why I can't get decent internet out here. But anyways, if I go blank on you, that's what's happened. Anyways, the deputy mayor will have to take over, but until I get back on. But now I have the staff reports, and I'll start off with Belinda. And great, Belinda. I hope you had a nice. That food looked awful good, and I had to leave. I haven't eaten supper yet.
Sorry, I should have brought you a plate home.
I never thought to ask you. That would have been not as good tomorrow, but it was nice to see that the youth actually put all that together. And just to talk about it, Belinda and I were up at the entrepreneurs. We had four young businesses, and maybe you could fill in a little bit on that, Belinda, just as a quick comment. But what a great event, and 50-some businesses were run this summer.
Sure, yeah, just quickly, we had our Saugeen Summer Student Startup wrap up tonight, where we celebrated the 59 youth who opened 50 businesses this summer across our Saugeen Connects partnership. And we had 9 students from Minto, only 4 could come tonight, but it's always super cool to see the youth doing their businesses and being able to recognize them. And so it was good. Do you want me just to jump into my report then?
Go right into your report. Thanks, Belinda.
Okay. Perfect. So happy to be bringing forward this report tonight in regards to the CREDAC Developments land sale. So you'll remember us selling them the first parcel, the first 3 acres several months ago. That was to close at the end of July. And they had plans to purchase the second 3 acres later this year or early next year for their development. But the good news is they're ready to move forward with that parcel now. And as a result, they asked if they could combine the closing dates and then be able to merge the properties together. It just makes it cleaner, makes more sense, and saves some money all around to do that. So what I'm bringing forward is obviously selling that parcel, that 3 acres, combining the closing dates to be November 25th, and then also the DC Deferral Agreement. So this would mean that they don't pay the DCs on their building permit. Like when they get their building permit, they wouldn't pay those fees until the first unit of their development is occupied. At that time, they would be paying. So it gives them some flexibility with their cash flow at the start of the project, which is really important, especially with the size and scale of this scope of this project. So that is the gist of my report.
Great. So I'll open it up for questions. Deputy Mayor Turt.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Bridge. Belinda, the green part, sorry, that's blue. The blue picture, the square box, that's the two of them together. That's the 6 acres.
Yes, that's correct. Yep.
That's huge.
And they are working on plans. I know Terry has been working with them and their engineers on a variety of plans. So they are working on stuff, even though they don't technically own the property yet. And we have sent several inquiries their way because there's not a lot of availability right now, as you know.
And so when we give them the green light, when will they start?
Probably, I would guess they're not going to be starting over the winter, so likely in the spring, but maybe
Yeah.
Terry has a better idea of a timeline on construction.
I would guess spring of next year.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Again, this project is a really good project because it's going to have a lot of opportunity for businesses to go into that those units. So we can have a lot of small businesses. I don't know what the total amount, Terry, do you have the total amount of units they're going to be when they're all done?
No, they haven't split the units out. So I'm not sure how many there's going to be.
Probably a good number of businesses will be able to go in there. So that's really a neat thing.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well,
yeah.
Go ahead. I'll read the resolution and then, or the thing, and then we'll go from there. Moved by Councillor Mackenzie, seconded by Councillor Elliott. The Council of Town of Minto receives the August 24th, 2021 report from the Director of Economic Community Development regarding the agreement of purchase and sale of the Crudac Developments Inc. for Part 5 on Reference Plan 61R9419 in Palmerston Industrial Park. The closing date extension for Part 4 on Reference Plan 61R9419 and deferral of the development charge agreement for these parcels, and authorize the mayor and the clerk to sign the agreement of purchase and amendment of APS and the development charges deferral agreement. Anybody opposed? Carried. Thank you. That's a great one. And going, I guess you're up again, Linda.
Yes, so as you all are aware, I've been a member of the EDCO Economic Developers Council of Ontario Board of Directors for the last 2 years, and my term is coming to an end and elections are approaching. So I would like to put my name in the hat again. I'm currently sitting as the secretary on the board, and if I get in again, I would be treasurer next year, and the plan is to move up the ranks. It's been a very valuable experience. We've been longtime EDCO members. I've had the opportunity to work with a variety of ministries on the board, but also getting to meet them at big announcements like the one we had a couple Fridays ago, which was $23.5 million for my main street that EDCO is going to be a part of. So really proud of our organization for doing that. And yeah, just would like to continue to do that and looking for council's support in my nomination.
Thanks, Belinda. And I just want
any questions.
I just want to say it's great to have you there, and I know what you do for the group. So being part of the EDCO, going to the conferences, but also getting involved with quite a few of your peers on other projects with the Western Wardens. It's certainly a great organization, and I'm glad you're there. And I would like to see you to be president someday. So, and I'm sure that's where you're working towards. So you have my support. Anybody else want to make a comment, or let me just read the resolution? Deputy Mayor Turt.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Bridge. I think EDCO is the lucky group here to have you on their committee, Belinda. I mean, you've worked so hard on in Minto for years and years and years, and all those folks see the good in you, and I'm sure they're going to welcome you and hope you move right to the top. So congratulations and good luck.
Thank you. Fingers crossed.
I'm sure you'll get in. Moved by Deputy Mayor Turt, seconded by Councillor Dirksen. The Council of Town of Minto receives the August 24th, 2021 report from the Director of Economic and Community Development regarding her nomination for position on 2022-2024 EDCO Board of Directors and endorses the nomination. Anybody opposed? Carried. Good luck on that, Belinda. I'll be there supporting you best I can.
Thank you.
Okay. Now I'll turn it over to our Ashley to do a planning technician to do a report. Go ahead, Ashley. There you are.
So good evening, Mayor Bridge and members of council. So I only have one for you tonight as opposed to 6 at the last meeting. So this site plan agreement is for a property located on 5924 Wellington Road, 123. So the property is often locally known as the Old Rob property. The entire property is approximately 75 acres, but the area this proposed site plan agreement covers is approximately 3 acres, which is presently zoned highway commercial. The owner is a local resident who owns and operates Dobson Brothers Enterprises, which is a used truck and heavy equipment dealer. So they currently do have their businesses running out of a few different properties in Palmerston, and the goal with purchasing this is to amalgamate it into one property over time. There are currently not any additional proposed buildings for the property, and the proposed use will be more of a sales lot for their product. The drawings that we have approved for the site plan outline planting strips across the front that abut the county road, proposed grass strips, location of berms, fencing, snow storage, stormwater management dry pond, and existing and proposed grading and drainage. Seeing as there are no proposed buildings, it is mainly grading, drainage, and landscaping on the plan. So the town staff and the town's engineer, as well as county planning staff, are now satisfied with the site plan drawings, and we feel that deficiencies have been satisfactorily addressed. We are recommending the final drawing set be approved, and that council considers passing a bylaw authorizing the mayor and the clerk to sign the site plan agreement.
Okay, maybe I'll read the resolution and then we'll have discussion. Does that work out for everybody? So moved by Councilor McKenzie, second by Councilor Anderson. The Council of Town of Minto receives the planning technician's report and approves the site plan prepared by GM Blue Plan Engineering, last revised dated August 11th, 2021, as recommended by the Town of Minto staff and County of Wellington staff and the town engineer. And further, that the owner executes with the Town of Minto a site plan agreement requiring completion of the work 1 year from the date of the approved site plan approval agreement. Further, the council considers passing a bylaw in a regular session authorizing the mayor and clerk to sign the site plan agreement. Okay, I'll turn it over for discussion. Right. Councillor Elliott and then Deputy Mayor Church. Go ahead.
Yeah, Ashley, I'm wondering about entrance to the, they only need one entrance. Is there, and is it the original driveway that would be going in, or would they have to extend it, or what's happening there?
So at this point in time, it'll be the existing house and shop will remain there, and county roads and the planning department hasn't noted any concerns in relation to the entrance.
So the house and stuff can stay as is, and if they ever decide they want to sell the house, they'd have to sever it. Is that the case?
Yes, technically it is zoned commercial now that it's within the urban boundary as well. It's designated, I believe, as industrial. But that being said, it will remain as a legal non-conforming use, and there has been just very preliminary discussions that the Dobsons may move there as well. So. Okay,
they can move in there as long as they're using a commercial, but if they decide to sever it, it'd have to be changed to residential then, would it?
It could remain as a legal non-conforming use, but that would be something that would have to be discussed with the county at that time to see if they're in favor of a severance, as they technically are the approval authority.
Okay. Thanks.
Deputy Mayor Church.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Bridge. Ashley, do we have a picture of the site plan?
I'm not sure if you have a copy there.
So I'm just kind of interested in, where the stormwater management pond, the dry pond might be. I mean, some of those things kind of interest me.
So if you're looking at the report, between where the house and the existing shop are, that's where the proposed stormwater management dry pond will be. And then the remainder of the parcel that's highlighted in blue is where the parking lot / sales lot will be. They're not proposing any lighting at this point. Right. And they did have trees outlined along the front of the property line. I believe there's 6. And then there's an additional one kind of near the stormwater management pond proposed as well as grass strips around.
So what about a height limitation? I mean, that's a pretty big lot. Could we limit the height of some of their items that they're going to put up for sale?
Yes. So as it stands, they would just have to follow the current zoning provisions, but we could definitely include a height limitation in the site plan agreement to council satisfaction as well.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Deputy Mayor Turton there. We've seen situations where we stack the boxes up quite high, and I think we want to be very careful. And we had neighbors come to us and ask us to and go through this, and I give the staff and the county, and hopefully there's the berms are in place. It's going to be a nice looking facility. That's the type of thing we want, where it's an interest of the town. So I'm hopeful, and I don't, Terry or Ashley, if you want to speak to that, but is there enough teeth in what we're doing right now on the site plan that you feel comfortable that we're not going to have? And again, the stacking was my one concern as well.
Yes, so I believe we do, and Terry can probably speak to that as well. We did go back and forth with the county as well, and even their last submission, they wanted 2 more trees added. So things like that have been looked at very carefully, and that's definitely been a consideration as well.
Is that what your concern was, Deputy?
Yeah, for sure. So if we do put a limitation on the height, is that something that we can police? Obviously it is. Likely, I mean, it would be my recommendation that with that site plan control that there no stacking.
Right, so just 1 trailer high.
Yeah, maybe I can ask Derek, or Terry, whatever. But how do we make sure? Because we got the bylaw on, or is the bylaw on tonight? Can we adjust it?
Yep, absolutely. You can amend the bylaw to include a height restriction of one trailer. I don't know what the definition would be, Terry. Is it 1 trailer, 1 box? We'd have to figure out what that definition would be.
Yep.
So how do we do that and still pass the bylaw tonight, but give leeway to you to make the wording right?
I think we can pass the bylaw with the authorization for council to allow us to pass it.
Okay.
Well,
so through you, Mayor Bridge, we can go ahead and pass the bylaw allowing us to sign the site plan agreement to be amended.
Okay, that's what I'm asking. That there has to be a way to, because we don't know if they're going to be in agreement to this, because we didn't bring it up. I don't think, Terry, did we?
No.
But I think I do believe that was my one concern going forward, is that we treat the neighbors as best we can on this to make sure that it's, and I know you've been working hard in the background to do that, to make sure that it's a nice site, and it's and we just don't want to have a bunch of things stacked up, I don't think. So
through you, Mr. Mayor, I think it's fairly simple as Annalene describes. We can pass the bylaw as amended.
Okay.
Correct, Annalene?
Yeah. Would that be all right with the council?
That's correct.
Is there any other concerns on that, Deputy Mayor Turk?
I think I was talking with Terry earlier today, and some of the folks around in that area are well aware that this is happening tonight. So I think that, I mean, back a few months ago, there was I understand that there was some pretty upset people about what was going on. It had nothing to do with this particular development or site plan control or whatever, but I think it's just good that we include our neighbors.
Well, and I think at the time we mentioned to those people, because it wasn't about the urban boundary expansion, but we said when the site agreement comes, we'll try to make sure that it's a good site agreement. So I think we gave that obligation as a council to make sure that happens. So I think we're following through with that. So that makes sense to me. All right. So I guess anybody opposed to that with the amendment? Carried. Okay, you got a direction all right, Annalene, on that, and Terry and everybody?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Next up, we have, I'll turn it over to Councilor Dirksen. Go ahead, Judy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Public Works has 3 items on the agenda this evening, and I'll call on Roads and Drainage Manager Mike McIsaac to take us through them.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. The first item is we start off in the cemeteries. Back in March of this year, I brought a report to council regarding the implementation of the cremation gardens in the three centers. And then upon further review, we looked at the columbarium options for the centerpieces of Harrison and Palmerston cemeteries, which this report is changing it from a 3-pillar style columbaria in the Palmerston Cemetery with a trellis to a 72 niche columbarium, similar to what was proposed in Harrison and similar to the one that's currently in place in Clifford. The recommendation that we're making here tonight would be to go with the hexagonal shaped 72 niche columbarium. It's almost $10,000 cheaper than the current one we have up in Clifford, primarily due to the amount of stone which is involved in the square columbarium, as well as the dome cap and the size and weight of that unit. I guess in the financial report as well, just to bring it to everybody's attention, it was brought up the last meeting as well, just with the accounts that are shown there. The dollar amounts for the Clifford Cemetery and Harrison Cemetery, those are just placeholder amounts and not specific to any one cemetery. I guess at this point, is there any questions with regards to the layouts or anything of the cremation gardens? Or what's proposed? No.
Looks like you've wowed them, Mike.
Well, and I did have a question earlier from a counselor wondering how the implementation of future columbariums would work in these areas. So in the Palmerston Cemetery, the centerpiece would be complete, and then there is, I believe, there's almost 10 or 12 future columbariums in the design for that one. And all of them are along the roadway, so future implementation is not going to be cumbersome, or it'll be very easy to add on in the future. And then similar with the Harrison cremation gardens there as well. They're primarily around the chapel, as well as another open space all on its own in Harrison. And the plans, then the concepts that are in the master plan, they are almost like 100-year or more plan. So we're kind of setting it up, and we want to make sure that it's easy to implement future installations for everybody in the future. Is there any further questions? No?
Okay. It's like I'll read the recommendation, and Madam Clerk, you'll have to keep an eye on me because I think I have the unrevised copy of the pre-minutes. So if I say the wrong mover and seconder, you'll have to nail me on it.
Okay.
So moved by Mayor Bridge and seconded by Councillor Elliott. The Council of the Town of Minto received the report from the Road and Drainage Manager dated August 17th, 2021 regarding cremation garden columbaria purchase agreement. And further, that staff be directed to order 2 72 niche hexagonal shaped columbaria as shown with the additional granite dome caps with a 50% deposit to Superior Monuments at the time of order in 2021, with the remaining balance paid in 2022 at the time of delivery. Okay, last chance for questions. And is there anyone opposed? Okay, and that carries. And we'll go on to the pedestrian bridge.
Thank you. So the reason for this next report is it's the results of the quotation that we sent out for the repairs that were noticed on the pedestrian bridge in the Lions Park in Palmerston there during our biennial OSM reports. And prior to, there was some painting scheduled for that, the bridge there this year. So we thought we'd better just double check on everything there before the painting went forward. And it was noted that there was a significant potential failure area on that, which is the reason for the quote going out. So we had two submissions, one from Marbridge Construction Limited for a quotation price of 68,000, and a second quote from Jarlian Construction Incorporated for 114,000. Is there any questions regarding the rehab on the pedestrian bridge?
Councillor Elliott? Yeah, and you are muted.
Yeah, if and when we decide to accept this quote, when do you expect it would be done? Like,
They do figure it would be completed mid to late October of this year. So they are able to complete the work yet this season.
perfect time for you to close it for winter maintenance.
Almost. Unfortunately, yes.
I've been taking a beating over that bridge all summer, and almost daily somebody's at me about it. They don't think they'd fall down if they crossed it, but it's unfortunate we got to listen to.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I really think it's a safe bridge, and it's cost us a lot of money for something I don't think is necessary, but let's get it done. We're also going to light that bridge this year too. So will that be done for Christmas kind of thing, or will they do that too?
Well, we should be able to get that to work like even after the repairs have been complete. The lighting of the bridge shouldn't be an issue before Christmas.
I think Greg Mallet was looking into the lights and such like, so that would be perfect if we make sure we get that done.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, I saw Mayor Bridges' hand up, and Councillor Anderson, you can follow Mayor Bridge.
I'm a little disappointed that it's costing us that much, but it has to get done. I'm glad that we're going to get it done this year. I guess, unfortunately, with COVID, some of the activities we would have loved to do done with that bridge this year was not going to happen anyway. So unfortunately, we have some plans and ideas. I know Bloom is excited about doing those plans and ideas going forward. So let's get her done, in my mind, and get it ready for next year. And I assume, Mike, the painting will have to wait till next year as well.
Yeah, just due to the timing of the repairs to be completed. It's not ideal for painting during that time of the year. It's more spring, early summer. So yeah.
So we want to get it going. We got to get this repair done, get it going. It's a centerpiece of our whole economic plan for that park going forward, and it just has to get done. So thanks for getting it done and getting it going. So
I bought a brush, so I'm ready to get going in the spring.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Bridge. And Councillor Anderson?
Yeah, I'm looking at this picture. I'm not understanding what the damage is, or like, I'm not an engineer by any means, but I don't get it. I don't understand what it is they're going to do. Can we have that explained to us?
So there's three of the main posts or piers on that column that it's the way it's described to me is the way that it's kinked. The photo that's shown there, there's 6 kink points that are visible there, and it's kind of like a straw. So when you kink a straw with the weight load coming down on it, it has the potential of failing at any point in time. So that's what they're planning on doing, is actually taking approximately 6 foot to 8 foot sheets of steel and covering over those points to distribute the load and bolt them all together.
So where it's bent a little bit, that's what they're calling a kink?
Yeah, on the main post, and then the cross members there, they're that's more of a cosmetic thing. There's the cross members that go in between all 4 posts. There's a few of them that have been damaged as well, but that's more of a cosmetic thing.
So the other kinks on the big posts are those dents?
Yeah.
That's what they're fussing about?
Yeah.
Really? Okay. I'm not an engineer. I won't ask anymore. I just wasn't sure what I was looking at there, because It
Yep.
didn't jump right out at me.
Yeah, 68,000.
Yeah, worth of jumping.
Deputy Mayor Turton.
Thank you, Chair. So I think it has a lot to do with wind and snow load as well. I mean, that's kind of why we hire an engineer to look at this. It's all about liability.
Oh,
Yeah.
I get it. I just.
And
Okay,
there is a lot of structural steel up above and the weight associated with that, which is a huge concern there. I couldn't even guess at the weight of that actual like structure itself. So
Right.
yeah.
okay.
Hey, anyone else? Okay, seeing none, I will read the recommendation, but I will have to have help here with the mover and the seconder because I obviously have the wrong people.
Certainly. I have the mover as Councillor Anderson and seconder is Councillor McKenzie.
Okay. That the Council of the Town of Minto receives the report from the Roads and Drainage Manager dated August 24th, 2021 regarding Lions Park pedestrian bridge rehabilitation quotation results and budget amendment. And further, that the 2021 capital budget be amended to include a new capital project in the amount of $80,000 for the Lions Park pedestrian bridge rehabilitation, with funding provided from reserve fund roads. And further, that the Town of Minto awards a contract to Marbridge Construction Limited for the total price of $68,000 plus HST. Is there anyone opposed? Okay, declare that carried. And one of the warmest days of summer, we're going to start talking about winter.
Yep. Unfortunately, so this is the annual agreement with the Integrated Maintenance and Operation Services, otherwise known as the Owen Sound Highway Maintenance Limited crew that looks after the highways in our area. And it's it's basically they're driving through our communities, and instead of picking up their plows and stop sanding in our connecting links, they just continue through. So the increase this year is around $200, which is consistent with what we've previously seen in other years. And if I remember correctly, it like for the duration of the season, it works out to be about $50 a day for their maintenance on our connecting links, which is of good value, that's for sure. Is there any questions with this?
So it's hard to say whether you want it to snow so you get your money's worth or you don't want it to snow.
No, we don't want it to snow.
Okay, are there any questions? Okay, this is one of these things we do every year. So moved by Deputy Mayor and seconded by Councillor Anderson, that the Council of the Town of Minto receives the report from the Roads and Drainage Manager regarding the winter maintenance of connecting links agreement and considers approving 2 bylaws in regular session, authorizing the mayor and acting clerk, I think that should be,
Yes.
of the Town of Minto to sign these agreements. Is there anyone opposed? Okay, I'll declare that carried as well, and I will send the chair back to Mayor Bridge.
Thanks, Councillor Dirksen, and I'll turn it over to Quinn, our Human Resources, to do a Human Resources Service Council meeting schedule and Christmas office closure. Now we're getting the roads done. Now we're into actually Christmas, and again, it was one of the hottest days going, so we have to be prepared. So go ahead, Quinn.
Yeah. So this is just our annual Christmas office closure. So as always, staff will take banked personal or vacation time to cover the non-statutory holidays. For the next couple of years, the stat holidays actually fall on the weekends. So that makes scheduling super easy. So it's proposed that in 2021, so this year, we would close on the Friday, which would be Christmas Eve at noon, be closed the entire next week, Monday to Friday, and then open again at 8:30 on the Monday. And in 2022, we would close at 5 on the Friday, which would be December 23rd. Again, be closed the entire next week, and then open again at 8:30 a.m. on the Monday. There are certain staff that tend to work through that period one's responsible for snow removal. Facilities will accommodate legacy bookings, and the odd time payroll falls in that period. But it's we do this annually, so everyone's kind of responsible for figuring out whether or not they are required to come in at certain times. And then the second part of this report is to tentatively schedule the council and budget meetings for next year. So as always, council meetings will fall on the first and third Tuesday of every month. The only major difference for next year is that it is an election year. So generally we would have the election the end of October, the inaugural council meeting the beginning of December, but with changes to the election calendar, the new council is required to be sworn in on or before November 15th, which works very well for us as it is the third Tuesday of the month. So we have a regularly scheduled council meeting that day anyway. So our current council would have one meeting after the election before our new council is sworn in, and then orientation would follow on November 22nd. So all in all, council would have 25 meetings in 2022, which would include the new council orientation and both of the budget meetings.
Questions? Councilor Elliott.
Yeah, I know we've been able to work from home. Will that come into play during our office hours being off? Will we be able to relegate who works from home or who works in the office, or how's that?
Eric,
And thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Council. Council, you may recall back in May, we passed a work from home policy now. So anybody that is requesting a work from home, there's a application process and review that takes place before we would allow that work from home to take place.
Okay. Anything on the holiday schedule? Okay, I just maybe on the actual other schedule for November, with the new council coming in November, would you have a budget meeting with, could be the old council? Like, I don't know if that makes sense.
Through you, Mayor Bridge, it actually would work out. It would be a really long stretch for the new council. We would have the inaugural on the 15th, orientation on the 22nd, and then I believe it goes budget on the 29th, council the beginning of December, and then budget again on December 13th.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, sorry, I didn't read that right. That's my fault. Yeah, sorry.
All right.
Although, yeah, this November that we have 4 meetings and 2 in their budget, right, Annalee? Okay, well, we'll have to do those. Everybody around here will have to do those for sure. Okay, got it. Thank you. Anybody else got any concerns or any problems? And then I'll move by Councilor Dirksen, second by Councilor Elliott. The council receives the coordinator legislative and human resources service report regarding 2022 council meeting dates and Christmas office hours for 2021 and 2022, and approves the closing of municipal office at noon Friday, December 24th, 2021, reopening Monday, January 3rd, 2022 at 8:30, with staff taking bank, personal time, or vacation to cover non-statutory dates. Furthermore, approves the closing of the office at 5 Friday, December 23rd, 2022, and reopening at 8:30 Monday, January 2nd, 2023, with staff taking bank, personal time, and vacation to cover non-statutory dates. It further sets the budget and council meeting dates for 2022 as outlined. Anybody opposed? Carried. Okay, good. I'll turn it over to Deputy Mayor Turk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have a couple of items on the agenda tonight from the Treasury, and it's about the ICIP. And we have our treasurer, Mr. Duff, here. And so let's move right into these transfer payments.
Thank you, Chair Turton. A couple of kind of housekeeping items tonight. The ICIP, as you remember, that's kind of the catch-all for federal provincial grants these days. And we did the one for rural and northern, which we commonly call the Brunswick Street Bridge Project. And this is very similar. This is under the Community Culture and Recreation stream, and that is for the proposed renovations at the Palmerston Arena, expanding the ball fields and the dressing rooms. And the dressing room work is going to be very important in meeting all the COVID protocols for sure. So just to refresh, it's 40% federal program and 33% provincial, and the town funds the rest. And I'm proposing borrowing our share for this project, which is roughly $650,000. And in a couple of months, we'll be bringing a more comprehensive proposal on various capital projects and borrowing requirements for the next little bit. But we should get this transfer payment agreement, long time coming, but we are in a position to move forward with approving it. Take any questions?
Yeah, thanks, Gord. So the recommendation is that moved by Councillor Elliott, seconded by Councillor Anderson, that the Council of the Town of Minto receives the Treasurer's ICIP Community Culture and Recreation Transfer Payments Agreement report and considers a bylaw in regular session authorizing the mayor and the clerk to sign the transfer payment agreements. Do we have questions for our treasurer? Seeing none, Gord, we spend the money and then we get it back, just like that bridge over there. We submit.
That's right. Yep, claim-based reimbursement.
Is that what they call it?
Yep, that's good.
Okay, so no questions, then I'm going to call the vote. Anybody opposed, raise your hands. I declare that passed. And Gord, why don't we move right into the ICIP COVID-19 Resilience Infrastructure Stream Transfer Payment Agreement.
Certainly, this is a slightly quicker turnaround. This is for one of the many programs of both the federal and provincial governments, as the mayor mentioned earlier in the meeting, providing assistance to municipalities for the projects that we prioritize. It did require an application, which we were fortunate to succeed in. And this one we had an idea about when we were passing the capital budget last year. So this is for $134,000 to support extension of sidewalks and rehabilitation renewal. I know, yeah, anyone that walks around any of our communities, a lot of our sidewalks are not quite up to standard, a bit narrow, a little bit uneven. And this allowed our Public Works Department to add a bit to their normal work that they do. So again, this is the transfer payment agreement. And as the Deputy Mayor said, claims based, we pay the contractor and get a proportionate reimbursement.
Any questions on this one? Hearing none, we have a recommendation moved by Councillor McKenzie, seconded by Mayor Bridge, that the Council of the Town of Minto receives the Treasurer's ICIP COVID-19 Resilience Infrastructure Stream Transfer Payment Agreement report and considers a bylaw in regular session authorizing the mayor and the clerk to sign the transfer payment agreement. Is there anyone opposed to this? Seeing none, that is declared carried, and I will pass the chair back to our mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Turton. And first up is our other business disclosed. And I believe, Deputy Mayor, you had something.
Yes, I just wanted to remind everybody about the truck show in Clifford this weekend, the Great Lakes Truck Club, the August 27th, 28th. It's an amazing show. A lot of trucks there from the early 50s to the 80s, and a lot of these gentlemen and their wives, whatever, take great pride in these trucks, and certainly a worthwhile event to attend. Thank you, Mayor Bridge.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor Turton, and it's a great event, and it's nice to see it back. And I must give some credit to, I don't know if Matt's still on here, and a couple other people that worked. I think Greg and Belinda had meetings with public health to make sure that everything was going to be done in a safe way and how to work this thing going. So give them a lot of credit for working that through with the group. And it's nice to see an event happening again. So
for sure,
that's super. Yeah. Anybody else got anything? Councillor Dirksen, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to mention that there is a vaccine bus going to be at Gray's liquidation and auction on Saturday during their business hours of 9 till 4. So it's another opportunity to get vaccinated. I think you just need a health card and then they can set you up. So I know there's other opportunities around too, but this is just a one-time thing as I understand it. And so just want to encourage people to use that if they are still on that list that need to be vaccinated.
Thanks, Councillor Dirksen. That's a great reminder. Councillor Anderson.
Just you had mentioned about AMO and bringing reports. I don't know if anybody else attended besides you and I. I still haven't had a chance to watch all of the sessions, but the ones I attended were quite informative and very interesting. And of course, the topics and issues, broadband was huge. Housing was huge. I don't know that anybody has the answers. The broadband people, they finally came out and said like the Wi-Fi, the people who spoke were mostly Wi-Fi providers currently, but moving into broadband. And, you know, my question was to them was, well, why do you keep advertising it as reasonable alternative? It's not. You need to have the cable in the ground to get reasonable support for your Wi-Fi usage, was their final bottom line. So we'll have to just keep waiting for that patiently. The last topic, or at the end of the conference, they did a tour of a residential school that's down in Thamesford, which I didn't know there was one that close by.
Yeah.
And the lady who gave the tour, I don't know exactly what her background was, but my goodness, it was for anybody who, they didn't want us to sort of pass that around widely. I think you have to have paid because they're using it as a fundraiser for people to go and actually physically tour the building. But she talked about these children being brought into the building, given a number, that took all their clothes and burned them. They got a bath and they got this uniform, and that uniform, they got fresh clothes once a week. There were 3 tubs in the building for 30 girls to use. Those tubs got filled once a week, and everybody used the same water. The shower room had 2 shower heads. 75 boys would get put into that shower room. And again, when they ran out of the hot water, then it was cold water for everybody. So, and there's a book about it called The Mush Hole, because they were fed a lot of porridge. So even though, they put these kids in the school, but they didn't really have funding for it. So they were running at a deficit. So they started them working as farms. So the kids worked as farm hands to raise crops and meat and dairy and eggs that they didn't get to eat. They had to be sold to make money to support what they did feed them. So they ate a lot of oatmeal, and the oatmeal got started the night before because the kids, there were so many of them to feed. So they call it was pretty mushy. So it became, the dining room became the mush hole. So there's a book about that apparently, which is quite interesting reading, which I haven't had a chance to find yet. They showed the boiler room. That's where the boys went with the priest, because the noise would cover any noise the boys would make. The boys and girls were segregated. The families were deliberately separated. Each child was given a number. So if the family came in and there were 5 of them, and they were 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, they would have 1 in one section and 2 in a different section. So they made sure there could be no interaction or connection between the family members. But the kids found a way to get up through the rafters. And they say you can go up into the rafters and see their markings on the walls, so that the boys could get into the girls section and vice versa, so that families could find each other. So it was a very interesting but disturbing tour. And they fixed the building all up, so it doesn't look anything like it would have at the time. I'm sure it's all clean and pristine, and I'm sure it wasn't like that at the time. But it was very interesting. But I mean, a lot of the sessions, they're interesting, but I haven't come across any yet that didn't tell us anything we don't already know, and that we as a group, which I frequently find when we go to these sessions, that we as a community with our staff are way ahead of a lot of other communities, thanks to the innovative thinking of the people we have working for us. So every time I go to one of those, I come away from them feeling pretty good that we sort of are ahead of the game a wee bit, but we all have work to do. And I mean, I don't know where they're going to come up with the answers. I hear Mr. Trudeau is going to fix the housing crisis. I'm not quite sure how he's going to do that. I found it interesting, his one statement that he says, well, this has been going on for too long. Really? Well, you're the government. maybe we need to do something about this. Anyway, it was interesting, but the sessions were really good. And the one keynote speaker, oh, I'm trying to think of his name. He reminds me of a fellow from Star Trek. His name does. Oh, the bald fellow who was the captain on Star Trek, Andre Picard.
Yeah.
He was really, really interesting to listen to. He had some really thought-provoking ideas about, you know, forward thinking, climate change, all those things that we need to do to keep our world going the way it is, and a really positive outlook on it, but pretty insistent that we do some change making if we haven't already started to. So I found his talk very, very insightful. So I haven't, as I said, I haven't had a chance to watch because you just couldn't get to everything all at the same time, some of the sessions, but they are still up there for people to watch. But like I said, I find that they have some ideas, but I'm thinking, oh, we've already done that. We're way ahead of you there. It's the bigger fish to fry that we don't have a lot of control of that we have to wait for.
Yeah, thanks for that, Jean. And you're right about the documentary. It really hit home.
Oh,
as to, I mean, I watching that and understanding maybe a little bit more of what the residential schools were and what they really, the whole idea of taking families and separating them and taking their clothes and taking their identities away from them. That I don't understand the logic. I guess they wanted everybody to be the same and change, but today we look at it, we just don't understand that logic. And I mean, I know it was past, but it was a lot worse than they thought ever.
Right. I think they wanted to strip away their identity. They wanted to assimilate them into our culture. So they wanted them to forget anything that reminded of them of their own culture. But the other thing is to pretend that nobody knew there was anything going on. If everybody had a number, surely somebody down the road noticed that, gee, number 2, 27, 49, and 73 haven't been seen for weeks. Where are they?
Yeah.
Nobody can tell us that nobody knew that these schools were in existence for 120 plus years. They clearly knew that not everybody was coming out of the camps that went into the camps.
Yeah.
Anyway,
anyways,
it's disturbing, and I
and
didn't
your other
realize it was
comment,
one that close to us.
Yeah, and the other comment you made was, and which I'd like you to hear, that is the fact that we do go to these sessions. Yes, this council and our staff have been leading the pack in a lot of areas, and it's nice to get that reinforcement. My part of the AMO, and I'll just give an update, is my thing was the ministers' meetings that I was able to be at with the Western Wardens and bring our rural needs, our workforce planning strategy, the housing, and talking, Jean, to the people and to the rest of the council, and say, giving what we need to know at the ground level, what needs to be done. And yeah, nobody's got that silver bullet yet on the housing, but we continue to work towards it, and let's keep our minds at it, and we'll go from there. But yeah, AMO and all the groups we talked about, EDCO earlier with Belinda, these are very important groups. They bring a lot of messages to the government, and a lot of them are about the fact that municipalities are on the ground, give us the money, figure out how to do it, and ask us what's needed. And if they listen, things done. And I hope we've got a federal election on right now. If you have a chance to talk to your federal people that are running, make sure you press those issues as best you can. If you get an opportunity, I don't know how they're going to do all candidates meetings and all that stuff. I don't know yet. The River was talking about trying to do one, but they haven't been able to connect and figure out how it's going to be done. So if you get a chance, put all our concerns right to all those members of parliament that are there now and the ones that want to run, because we need to know what they want to do as a government and go forward. So thanks for that. Okay. Moved by Councillor Anderson, second by Councillor Dirksen, that the committee of whole convenes into regular council. Anybody opposed? Carried. Okay. Notice of motion. Any notice of motion? Seeing none. Moved by Deputy Turton, second by Councillor Dirksen, the Council of Town of Minto ratifies the motions made in the committee of the whole. Any opposed? Carried. Going on to bylaws. Moved by Councillor McKenzie, second by Councillor Anderson, the bylaw number 2021-66 to authorize execution of an agreement regarding the 2021 and 2022 winter maintenance of Highway 9 with Integrated Maintenance and Operations Services, Inc., be introduced, read first, second, and third time, passed open council, seal of the corporation. Anybody opposed? Carried. Moved by Councillor Elliott, second by Deputy Mayor Turton, the bylaw number 2021-67 to authorize execution of agreement regarding 2021-2022 winter maintenance of Highway 9, 23, and 89 with integrated maintenance and operation service to be introduced, read first, second, and third time, and passed open council, seal of the corporation. Anybody opposed? Carried. Moved by Councillor Anderson, second by Councillor McKenzie, bylaw number 2021-68 to authorize the execution of a transfer payment agreement for the Investing in Canada Infrastructure Program, ICIP, Community Culture and Recreation Infrastructure Stream, be read first, second, and third time, and passed open council and COC of the corporation. Anybody opposed? Carried. Moved by Councillor Elliott, second by Deputy Mayor Turton, bylaw number 2021-69 to authorize the execution of a transfer payment agreement for Investing in Canada Infrastructure Program, ICIP, COVID-19 Resilience Infrastructure Stream, be read first, second, and third time, and passed open council and COC of the corporation. Anybody opposed? Carried. Moved by Councillor Anderson, second by Councillor Elliott, that the bylaw number 2021-70 to authorize the sale of industrial lands on Minto Road, Palmerston Industrial Park to Curta Act Developments, Inc., be read first, second, and third time, and passed open council and seal of the corporation. Anybody opposed? Carried. Moved by Councillor Dirksen, second by Councillor McKenzie, bylaw number 2021-71 to authorize the mayor and clerk to execute an agreement of late payment of development charges between Curta Development, Inc. and the Corporation of Town of Minto be read first, second, and third time, and passed open council and seal of the corporation. Anybody opposed? Carried.
Through you, Mayor Bridge.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. The next one is,
Yeah.
again, the site plan agreement.
Yes. Do we want to
And so
change
there would be a
that?
slight amendment to that. May I
Yeah.
read it out for
Sure.
you?
Would you read that out? It's moved by Councillor Anderson, second by Councillor Elliott. Would you read it out then, please?
Thank you. That bylaw 2021-72 to authorize the execution of an amended site plan agreement with the Dobson Brother Enterprises Limited for proposed development on 5924 Wellington Road 123 be read a first, second, third time and passed in open council and sealed with the seal of the corporation.
Okay. Anybody opposed? Carried. Okay. Thank you, Annalee. Moved by Councillor Dirksen, second by Deputy Mayor Turton, the bylaw number 2021-73 to confirm the actions of the Council of the Corporation of Town of Minto respecting a meeting held August 24th, 2021, be read first, second, and third time, and passed open council, seal of the corporation. Anybody opposed? Carried. Moved by Councillor Elliott, second by Councillor Anderson, the Council of Town of Minto adjourns to meet again at the call of the mayor. Anybody opposed? Carried. Thanks for a good meeting, everybody, and see you, everybody.